Good evening and thanks for joining us for the news at 7. I'm Dawn Baker.
And I'm Haley Bolin. Just weeks ago, a Chatham County jury found Leilani Simon guilty in the murder of her 20-month-old son, Quentin.
Well, tonight we bring you an interview you will only find right here on WTOC. Leilani Simon's lead defense attorney speaking out about the guilty verdict in the case. WTOC Shay Schrader joining us now live. Shay, you sat down with Martin Hilliard this afternoon. What did he have to say with you?
Yes, good evening, Dawn and Haley. I spoke with Hilliard about the fact that he doesn't believe the state proved murder charges against Simon and what's next in the case. Simon's sentencing is next week, but her defense team is already looking ahead to a long appeal process.
I mean, I was a little shocked, to be honest with you. I mean, like anyone else, I didn't expect it to come back the way it did.
Martin Hilliard recalling the moment his client, Leilani Simon, became a convicted murderer after a 2.5-week trial that saw around 40 witnesses and 100 pieces of evidence presented solely by the prosecution. Walk me through that decision not to call any of your own witnesses to the stand.
In a case like this that's purely circumstantial, where they don't know what happened, where they don't have a manner or method of death, where they don't have any clear idea of how, when, or why, the death occurred, why give the jury anything other to base their verdict on than the evidence or lack of evidence from the state?
Hilliard and his co-counsel, Robert Peirce, zeroed in on what they call a lack of physical evidence from the prosecution when they were cross-examining witnesses. During the trial, they also cast doubt on Daniel Youngkin, Simon's then-boyfriend, who was also in the home when Quentin disappeared. The prosecution, at times, however, painting Youngkin as a sympathetic figure.
He made himself a cooperating witness. So no, doesn't surprise me.
Do you believe that the police should have looked closer at him? Absolutely.
I mean, I don't know. I don't sit here and pretend to know what happened, but that's kind of their job. It's not to make a decision 15 minutes into an investigation.
Hilliard says at this point he and his team are looking down the road at the appeal process. They'll ask that an appellate lawyer be appointed to oversee the appeal, including a motion for a new trial.
It's always good to have a fresh set of eyes to do that. They'll argue the motion for new trial, and if it's granted, then it's granted at the trial court level, then she'd get a retrial. If it's denied at the trial court level, then it goes to the Georgia Supreme Court, and the Georgia Supreme Court will hear. But there are certain issues and certain things you have to preserve at the motion for new trial level. And so that's why I always have another lawyer do it who specializes in appellate issues.
Hilliard added at the end of the interview that he wants people to know he believes that the prosecutors on the case, that's Tim Dean and Jenny Parker, as well as Judge Tammy Stokes, did their jobs well and professionally. Simon will be sentenced on November 21st, and WTOC will continue to bring you the latest updates in this case. For now, live in the newsroom, Shay Schrader, WTOC News.
Well, lawyers